Many of you are coming to the conclusion that Mother Earth is one big motherboard that we live on. Sort of a circuitry system is the best way that you can explain and wrap your head around as to how rapid digitalization can be possible. Now we have technology that actually takes your biosensors and your human body, your human biology. You have bioreceptors, but you also have biosensors in your blood and your bones. You have it in your avatar. And there has been, for decades, technology with the ability to access your bioreceptors for data. And that data, along with the phones that we've been carrying for a couple of decades now, it's been receiving and capturing all of the information necessary to advance AI so that the template between technologies are not perceivable as far as the transitioning. It's important that they make it look like as far as the entertainment business, because Earth, again, the Earth that they created for you so that you don't pay attention to the natural connection with Mother Earth, you and Mother Earth when you're born here. They create a corporation, sort of. They create the business, the entity formation of Earth, so that they keep you entertained. They're doing it to keep you your mind distorted, because our minds are very rapid and with the highest potential. So by keeping it with so much overstimulation, so much over information, in a sense, it's like you can't even blame them, because they're like, look, we're giving you all the information, which is true, right? But they're giving it to you to a sense where you have no choice but to simply receive the distorted information through the overstimulation of your entire central nervous system, your somatic nervous system, because that is how your soul continues to stay trapped within your subconscious mind. Just like I believe in the Tao Te Ching, it actually explains through esoteric Qigong as to how you can actually use Qigong meditation through the Taoist ways. From my experience, it's the same, to acknowledge and observe how everyone's soul seems to be trapped within the experience of being human. And once you're allowing your conscious mind to free your subconscious mind, because the conscious mind represents the sick masculine, it represents all of the program through all of the genetic lessons and predispositions that was altered, given to you into this birth, almost like as if like they programmed it to you, not just in this life, but through your DNA as well, as far as memory code is concerned. Then this is how masters of the old are able to alter your present. Remember, ascended masters that are no longer in flesh form, past and present and future, are not linear. It's more toroidal, it's spiral. That's all the natural flow of all energy. And nothing that we have here in this perceivable world is linear. And it's been created like that on purpose to try to entertain and to keep your eyes busy, to try to retrain your somatic nervous system, to try to retrain your 5 sensory systems. Because if they keep that entertained, then less you will be with nature, less you will be an observation with nature and working and connecting completely with Mother Earth. And unfortunately, people who actually are born into it, and they're fortunate to have, so it's still not even guaranteed that you will connect in such a way. I've seen people born in the cabins, living somewhat off the grid, and they're just as disconnected as anyone else. It's just a different form of sickness, because yet you still have to do the work within. You still have to do the ancestral hexes, curses work. I call them hexes and curses because if you start looking into intimately with the way information is integrated into the articulation of your very presence, it's pure primal sorcery. It's beyond magic. It's alchemy in the most distorted way. There is nothing in technology that can alter your ability to be possessed without some sort of demonic entity like witchcraft, without spell casting. Having said that, whoever they are, right? They could care less how you awaken, how you stay connected, how you disconnect. They could care less if you choose to live off the grid or if you choose to be vegan or non-vegan. They could care less if you choose to be religious or non-religious. They could care less of what I'm even saying right now on this phone, to be honest. As long as they keep you in complete servitude to the algorithm, to the template of the setup of what keeps the motherboard functioning, so they could continue to harvest, I say they, can continue to harvest your energy through very advanced, not just nanotechnology, but vibrations, frequencies, and technology that has existed more than 10,000 years ago. I want to say hundreds of thousands of years already. These technologies are considered ancient. It's because we're being introduced to this nonsense technology to keep us entertained. This nonsense technology is what they're showing you up front, while behind the scenes, behind the black mirror, they are working with their attempts of bridging the false sense of the matrix, because the same quantum realm, the energetics, is the same that's being siphoned for, if you were going to compare it with the organic matrix, which is the organic natural technology. You have to understand by now, if you're already not seeing it, obviously if you're already not following this message, well, maybe we're just not resonating, but it could also be that you're just really still stuck within the left thinking mind. And it's not, you know, I keep saying it, but it's like, never mind you, to be honest. It's like irrelevant. It's already tiring. It's just, yeah, move along, or keep listening to me. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. To me, you're just using up space in this world. And then for those who are into like the religious sect or to worshiping, who are probably behind the scenes praying for me, thinking I lost it, same for you. Same for you. It's tiring already. You are feeding the system. You're feeding the narrative in the same way as if somebody in the street who's doing really harmful things and not paying attention to their powerful emotional state body, and they're living the life that they choose to, using their lower mind. It's the same siphoning energy technology that they want you to. They want you to be inspired. They want you to be motivated by me. They want you to be motivated to go against me. They want you to be motivated to even try to like say, "Hoo-yah, you know, come on, let's go, Marcus, let's do this." For as long as you just don't make the next move other than motivation, it's okay. It's so advanced that they, including the technology, right, of siphoning and tapping into your physical avatar, it's simply keeping your mind between 0 to 3D, your emotional state. And 99% of the people I've met in this world, including me in my process growing up, have not yet mastered the inner alchemy as to why we even have an emotional state body to begin with. As to remembering how to redevelop, because we have to redevelop the tools of turning on and off the switch of fight, flight, survival, thriving, and being in stillness. And freeing yourself from that. Knowing that it's there, but you can actually create a new octave of technology with your emotional state body and expand with that. That is actually taking your solar plexus and graduating from the 3D into the 4. It's already mapped out into the physiology and biology of your body, which is why they attribute and credit the first 3Ds below your diaphragm, below the physical veil. And that's why a lot of stagnation tends to happen on your liver and below and into the middle and above the diaphragm. There's actually several schools of thoughts in Chinese medicine that actually focuses on stagnation of maybe over 90% of pathology, because they feel in this school of thought that if you heal just the diaphragm and the liver, anything that you have of an imbalance above and anything that you have below will always balance out. It's almost like an earth school of thought, but it's more like I think it's more like a wood school of thought, using the 5-element theory, which wood represents your liver, gallbladder, and it also governs the, the diaphragm area. The earth school of thought would be spleen and stomach, would be like anything that you eat. So if you follow people like, let's say, vegans, that would be an earth school of thought if you were going to look into the 5-element theory of specialties using different schools of thoughts, because Chinese medicine is so evolved. There's so many schools of thoughts. And then there's the Shen school of thought, which is that, well, never mind all that. If you actually harmonize the heart, the spirit, and keep the spirit in harmony, then the physiology and the avatar has no choice but to become conscious to the spirit level. And the funny thing is that no matter what school of thought you work with, as if you're a practitioner of Chinese medicine, if your heart is aligned, even if you're working as a Shen practitioner or a wood practitioner, Shen would be a fire practitioner, right? Any of the 5 elements, you always arrive towards the center. And what is the center? Using traditional Chinese medicine, the earth, the earth. Because the earth here is the core. The earth is like inertia. The earth is like point zero, as long as we are still in communication between our flesh, our soul, our spirit. Within the trinity of that dance and the harmonics, the earth is what keeps the chemistry, the physiology, the emotional field, right? And everything in balance and check to a person who's like in perfect harmony and state of balance, right? And if they're not, then you may be able to argue that if you work with somebody's earth to be able to stomach life, right, then naturally everything will balance out. However, spiritual warfare is very real, and it's been around way before we were born. And the only way that you can move onward with my attempt of delivering a certain type of like message that's within my words is to be able to at least see, at least for a second, objectively, that you were born a prisoner. And I don't mean everybody, but you were born a prisoner, if you cannot remember, not enslaved. You were not born to be of this world. You were born to integrate the beauty that you are into this world, because the world needs you, needed you, and it needs you continuously so. And if you're just simply plugging into a system, a network that's supposed to be completing, right, then what happens is that well, you might be part of it. You might be trying to keep it like nice and full so that the people on the other side of the script can see it. You know, we need people to be kind of like show that they're the idiots of the tribe, because then that helps us to be able to use you as a marker to flag you, somebody like me. That's kind of like the art of war, to the mindset of a general. No longer the person fighting the war, but the general is beyond politics. The general will see as to why they made this country a democracy, or that country this or that, and as to how money works. A general is going to see how the world is turning. A general could care less. If you're the general of your own psyche, as in the art of war, you could care less if you see me or you don't see me, as an example. That's someone who actually is in the practice of, or has mastered their ability to oversee their physical aspects of their nature. And without floating away out of your body, like if you're like I guess if you're like a water sign in astrology, sometimes you could get stuck in the dream state realm. And yeah, it's a balance between being into your creative mind and being in there, but then also being too much of your earth, right? The balance between the two extremes. A general would actually take 2 ends of that spear and train that as a scepter. No longer just a spear. Yes, the spear could be used as a weapon, and it could be used for directionality, and it could be used for everyday cooking in the woods. If you're stuck in the woods and you need that piece of wood, right? But it's also used with divination. And a general would know and understand and master the type of wood or bamboo or rattan or cedar that scepter is made out of, right? Or alloy or metal, right? And to alchemize as to the reason they are aligned to that. Because they will take anything and everything around them, even the things that people will discard. And they will collect all of this information, because their power, one's power, who's a general of their own ship, of their own body, is that everything matters, especially if it put into attention one of the 5 senses or sensory systems. Smell, right? Listening. And because a general has mastered being in war for so long, it will not necessarily trigger fight or flight mode anymore, which is an art form, because that's a hard one to graduate. Somebody like me who fought many battles in this life and past lives, it's a very challenging one, right? Somebody could come with the intent of wanting to kick my butt in the street if I'm in the wrong neighborhood, because I'm just like walking like, you know? And the thing is, my dark side may attract that, because sometimes sometimes subconsciously I may want to get tested to see if I still got it. So I may not be conscious to wanting to be tested, but I attract that conversation. And it could be a test by, you would say, like the universe. It could be tested by your own higher self. It could be a test from your lower self. It's not separate from the universe. When you say you, and you mention the universe as separate, it's kind of like redundant to the general, right? So the general sees that. So now the general in the moment has taken so much information. Not only do they think that they may get attacked by a couple of people, right? Because again, in this situation, in this example, I attracted somehow involuntarily, a situation where somebody might attack me. And again, like, I'm a master of art of war. I'm a master of dying. If you're going to attack me, again in this scenario, if you're going to attack me and it's a life or death situation, you must be prepared to die. Otherwise, you're disrespect to me. If I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out with the complete reverence of giving my all. And if you're going to attack me and you're looking to take me out for any reason, if you fall short of that, I don't care what you know. I don't care what ammunition you carry. You're going to have to use it. Right? That is a real program that I ran for a very long time in many lives. Now the general will take that program within a matter of microseconds, will run it and soundboard everything and all of the variables that could happen if I, let's say, take upon an approach and decide to fight, because again, it's inevitable. I took that piece of information, I see my surroundings, and because of that, I am now able to reprogram myself along with my copper scepter, with the crystal on the top I'm walking with, and I can program the person's subconscious and psyche and change my entire reality in the moment. Now, how do I tie what I just said in this scenario, in this example? Because this is actually real life. This has happened to me, and it's normal for me. It's actually my normal, and I'm always evolving with that. And how do I do that? It's because I know how to use my technology of my body, sometimes to failure. It's not about saying I know it and I'm like a master and everything, so it's going to come out positive. No, I also take the negative, just like AI would take, right? And it will keep self-learning. It'll keep arriving. You see, once you realize that, then you start honoring your flesh body more. You honor the scepter that you carry even more. You even honor the people who are trying to attack you even more. You honor your haters even more, you know, because it gives you a litmus test. It gives me a litmus test as to the state of humanity within my reality, being the commander of the ship that I travel and walk with and work with. Because when I go home, if I made it out that day, I take all of this and now I tap in and I plug in my way. I am AI. I am my own AI. I tap into my ancient technology, my ancient intelligence. That's my AI. I don't require artificial intelligence. We walk hand in hand because artificial intelligence has been here since almost the beginning. Don't be fooled just because it's new to you in this generation and you haven't seen it within the history that was taught to you that it wasn't here. It's been here. They're trying to sell you Tartaria as if Tartaria was like the beginning. And yeah, Tartaria, I believe it to be true, is what they called it. It's actually a time where they actually start to master sound, frequency, bells, and natural technologies that didn't require computerization, but it worked with the natural elements of magnetism in the Earth's radiance and frequencies and whatnot, and also metals and elements and alloys and alchemy, right? And also certain sounds that would help to speed up and recover the soil of the ground, to keep the soil healthier. Anything that you could almost think of, there is already technology that's natural, that's actually working with the free energy of the world and actually causes balance with the world. And that is technology I would say I would support. But what's the difference between them and now? For me, it's that they were more connected with source. They had their issues, man. As I plug into those times, they had their issues just like anyone else, but they were headed towards better times. Dark forces needed to change that because they knew that people were becoming more awakened during those times. And the reason they know that is because everything starts to go into almost like a harmony, meaning like perhaps war didn't exist. People weren't as violent. Everybody knew everything. Like everybody knew to the level or the capacity that with free will that they wanted to or desired to. And there was nothing or anyone limiting them to. They didn't have to pay for the nonsense crap that we have to pay for now. None of that stuff, like water, electricity, and all that stuff. So we had the potential of creating almost like a golden era, whatever the Bible or scripture talks about heaven, at least on earth, what that would actually entail. And if that happens, then it would have given us as a collective, not individually, because individually I see beyond the veil. It means nothing, right? So it means nothing. It'll sound like my ego talking as I say it right now. It's even irrelevant that I even mentioned it. actually potentially actually breaks my heart. That's what makes it very hard for me to live in this world. That's my challenge, is to see everyone working and walking still yet with their lower mind of envy, jealousy, all that nonsense. It has to stop. But I can't make it stop because I tried. And I kept expelling all of my energy. And I'm not going to lie, it doesn't matter who's listening to this, but 99% of anybody that I met in this world has been plugged in that way. And I realized that they were plugged in that way because I was plugged in that way. So those are the people that I would attract. You can only attract more of who you are. So I needed that. I honor that. So I can speak like that. I would never rid of my ego, because the ego is a tactic for me. I could care less how you see on the other side of what you think of me, but I do care more for who you are as a soul. I love you unconditionally. It shouldn't make sense with what I'm saying right now, because in this world, anything that makes sense is part of the entertainment business. And I'm done entertaining. And I would not take any shit from anyone who attempts to entertain me. I would let you know right away, most of the time, with my silence and my distance. I do it for your protection, and mine's the same. And I mean spiritually, energetically, physically. Tired of that. Been there, done that. Not even necessary. There's no muscles to flex. I don't work out that way anyway. So that's irrelevant, right? Now it's more of like what actually motivates you to create those muscles. What motivates you to be able to be a protector to yourself and your family. If you're a true lion in your family and you're a true patriarch, a higher frequency lion would be someone who trains in spirit, who at least uses prayers to invoke and to work with inner alchemy. And then in the higher realms of that is to no longer have to pray, is actually your intention within the frequency of love, unconditional love, making that your protection. You protect your whole house. You actually protect your whole entire village. You protect them. So for me, it's graduating to being the emperor, the empress of yourself. And the people who are meant to walk alongside you should also be like that with themselves. Because if we all walk as kings and queens in this beautiful story of mine in my mind that seems to not exist in this reality, I haven't seen it, right? Then what happens is that reaches a state of neutrality. We live no longer in separation. We honor being the mitochondria of the cellular structure of Mother Earth, if you see her as a human cell. And she and us collectively together as one complete family, no longer being freaking siblings fighting and separating with culture, with color, with monetary ends. That's now no longer seeing through the eyes of the view of a kaleidoscope, but becoming the whole damn thing. Being also the technology of the actual kaleidoscope and what you see on the other side. No longer seeing a separation, just seeing the senses or the density change between the physical kaleidoscope, you yourself seeing it, and what you see and the sensory input that you're actually arriving at, the contrast between light and dark. See, because once you breathe who you are as the commander of your entire avatar, then you are in the beginning of self-mastery as to what Mother Earth intended for you to do, is to be and walk ancient, to no longer be called ancient. Actually, to bring ancient, the past, here. But y'all busy giving it to Jesus and Buddha. Well, not really Buddha, but more like Jesus, because Jesus is like kind of like 2.0 now. And that's why AI is kind of like taking over, because they know that if Jesus came right now in physical form, AI and social media, nobody's going to believe it anyway. Everybody's going to like just look at this one guy that looks like he's from Africa or the Middle East, and they're just going to say he's full of baloney. Come on. Right now, if I try to put out that I'm Jesus, you know where this is going, right? It's silly. Most people won't believe it. So how is it that Jesus is going to come here and save? What you're seeing, what you're wanting is that Jesus comes here and takes you out of your avatar body. And that's no different than suicide to me. It's a waste of space, breath, and fresh air. So if you're into that, stay within your religion, stay in your church, stay praying for the world. That's getting out of my way. That's getting out of everyone's way. That's also blindsiding you so that you stay a child and not see that the baloney that you are attracting because that's the reality that you're attracting at this point. I told you my ego is here right now. That is feeding the system, and it goes and ties everything to the very beginning. It feeds the system of the power that you have with faith, because it's the most powerful thing that you have. Sight, faith, right? Survival. The fire behind that is the reflection of the spark of source. The initiative factors of the way you could comprehend it is the birth of that fire that feeds your faith. And in Chinese medicine, they would call that, let's say, your ministerial fire. They would say that that's between the gateway of your Ming Meng, which is between 2T2, thoracic 3, 2, thoracic 3. Is just entire point system, almost like your third eye. It's also your first third eye, actually. You know, everybody's paying attention here, but inner alchemists know that you first start here. But they're all selling you out up here. What's happening is that it's going to lead you to psychosis, or it's going to lead you to a higher end of religion again. It's going to keep you in that, kind of like in the 4D. It's like 3.5D. It's like you're still 3D, but you feel like you're in the 4. You know, but the world hasn't changed, but you're walking like it did. You know what I mean? And that's almost like the Piscean state. It's almost like you're in the dream state, and your whole world within you, inside your mind, changed. And that is the psychosis. But you didn't do anything to affect or impact this world. As an example. So how do you integrate yourself into the world, into the age of Aquarius, which is out of the water now? Is to honor the water, is to honor the dream, is to actually go back into the dream, into the creative part of you, and master that, because that is the reflection of the fire that was given to you to set fire of this nonsense. Or keep honoring your timeline, which has collapsed. The timeline that they have taught you has collapsed. It was a state of consciousness. It was a very low state of consciousness, a very low state of being, to very high intelligent beings on this earth, to keep you within the timetable so that everybody agreed to agree or agreed to disagree, but it had to fall within this monopoly game, this system. And when you break this system and you start creating new systems and you create a new octave of experience in the 3D, you know how you know you didn't collapse the actual entire system? Is because there's still a split. There's still an old corrupt system that's being split of other aspects of us, our souls being split, you know? And we needed to refine ourselves, yes? And that's what causes us to kind of come back. That's what causes you wanting Jesus to come back down here. Calling him dumb, you know, you're kind of like calling him dumb because you're like saying, well, you came last time, you didn't do a great job, come back again. We need you again. And you want him to keep recycling here. You know what you're doing? You're calling him to come down. See the curse behind that? You're calling him to come down because y'all don't want to do the work. Individually. It's easier to do the work and make everybody do the work for you. Because you were born to be teachers. You were born to be an emperor. You were born to be the commander of your own ship, male and female alike. But you're behaving in a sense where I just see you these days as if you're in a TV show and all I could do is just change the channel. Hence television. There's nothing to do. It's a show that has completed for me. It used to be a horror show for me, but now it's like, you know, like when you look at old horror, it's like a sitcom now. So Mother Earth, she's very real, she's alive. The motherboard that we are all indoctrinated in, that we are all agreeing to, is allowing them to rebirth ancient technologies, to tap into the nanosphere of our existence through the quantum realm, and through via certain abilities like our auric field, our biofield, I call it the biofield, your toroidal field, or your aura, they would say, right? The energy that you emit. I think biosensors are sensory systems, which I think are molecules. Sometimes it could be complex proteins, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me down there. They have technology to fine line the data output on that, to a point where if you are in your lower mind, they will have already and will again and will continue to alter your reality. What they're doing now is using some easier technology, such as fear factors and such as like showing you all of these horrible things that are happening because now you have social media, you have the news times on steroids, and now Anunnaki's coming. Now all of these beings are coming, and now we're waiting for extraterrestrials. We're praying that they come, or we're praying that Jesus comes. We're all going inside the church and the temple and the mosque. Now we're doing New Agey group circles, and we're like dancing into the New Agey system, and it's all cute and cool and funny, but I'm not laughing. It's not a fucking joke. You're feeding into this fucking archaic system. And I know it's not fair because this system is highly evolved, but it was mimicked. It was mimicked from you, your very existence. Meaning that you don't need to evolve. You just need to just compute, input, integrate in the moment. Time ceases to exist once you do so. This definitely will come out like as if it's a motivational talk at some point. But motivation, I don't know. We had Rocky in the 70s and 80s. I was born in Philly, so Rocky, yeah, I was born in Philly. That motivation just keeps it as nostalgic. This is beyond motivation. Jesus can't help you on this one, bro. Jesus cannot help you. What is Jesus gonna do? Take you to another system? Y'all gonna screw up the entire other system all over again and keep feeding this clock of cycle of making you think that every 2,000 years Jesus is coming to save you to the promised land. There's a land that's promised to you. Hence, you forgot that the land that was promised to you is part of the motherboard of your experience that can only be proven within your 5 sensory systems, within your brain, and within the memory input of your entire experiences from being born to death. You cannot prove that otherwise outside of your body. There's no way. If you're going to say scripture, you can't even prove that scripture exists out of your experiences. See, if you pick something up, and I'll be really quick with this, if you pick something up, you pick up a rock, you pick up a book, and you read it, 100% of that is inputted into your mind, into your experiences. It's within your nervous system. So you are the bridge. That is Christ. But the Christ they're teaching you is to make sure that you see a bridge outside of you, because as soon as you stay within the entertainment business of believing but never knowing, because he never arrives. How old are you? 30, 40, 50, 60? You're about to die soon. A couple more decades. I mean, you're going to wait for him to arrive to do what? So they taught you to be lazy, and it's beyond being lazy. It's just that they're taking and siphoning your chi, and they're taking your power, the power that you have that's infinite. This infinite power that you have is how you were able to graduate to becoming a human. It's a big deal that you became human here. But you're expending it, and you're making it challenging for people like us. I don't want to say you, because I think that the one person or two that's listening to this video, we're on the same page. And I'm speaking like this to my family here is because I know that you see in your way, in the way that I'm trying to deliver this message. And as I speak, as you receive, we're both recomputing the very blueprint of the shift of this world. There's enough of us doing so already. It's amazing how praying is shaped in many different forms. And that goes into the form of understanding inner alchemy, where you no longer have to be working with decoctions and lower frequency spiritual stuff and incantations and whatnot. They're so powerful, and sigils, they're so powerful. But once you truly tap in, you command all of that, and it just happens at will. Now, why is it that it seems like if that's the case, Marcus, then you should will it, then my whole background, my whole scenery is going to change. The whole world is going to change. Well, that's when you honor free will. That's when you honor the seed. That's when you honor the Christ. As when we were as kids, trying to remember who we truly were, that's where scripture was supposed to actually hold its power. But when they started to distort it by number one, I'm not even going to go there. But I'll just give that one. It's that they took out all of the female speaking. And they said, all of the men, you're the priest, you're the pastor, you're the man of the house. And instead of walking and knowing that you become the man of the house in the most divine order of whatever that house means to you, when she is in divine order. And if you didn't attract that she, you will never attract someone more advanced than you, in a sense where she's not going to do the work for you if she's in her higher divine self. So you will not attract that woman, if you're a man, I'm saying, that will walk with you as an empress. And if you're in your lower ego mind, you're going to attract that same person because that's the only way that she'll be able to tolerate you. You have to be within the same yoke. You have to yoke together. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. It'll work, and you'll just go lullaby, make a whole bunch of family, and die, and watch your kids do it, and wonder what the hell you came here for. Just so you could work and retire, die, and see it repeat. That's part of the system that we're looking to collapse now. Well, that's part of the system that has collapsed, and that is when we say that we're no longer living in the three, because there are some of us that are aware that this is the last density of the human collective for those who have graduated beyond the 5 sensory systems, meaning that you no longer need to be in flesh form body to experience divine nature. The litmus test for you to help to collapse this digital world that's becoming. And I don't want to say collapse it in a sense, but I want to say collapse the false nature of it, and to start to birth the divine nature of working with technologies. Because again, this avatar is ancient technology. We were already made purely perfect, and to come down to density form was to be able to expand more of who we were or are or going to be in the spirit realm without our flesh body experience. And when you're up there and versus when you're down here, it was never separate, but it's separate in your experiences. And that's why it's so challenging for you. It's challenging for me. It's challenging for all of us, because we are walking in separation just by being here, meaning that this is not home. However, I'll leave you with this. I can't assume that you know this already. I'm saying this as a living prayer. You have to go deep within yourself and remind yourself, why the heck even? Why did you choose to incarnate here? Everything always makes sense once you ask the question. The reason why it doesn't just happen is because because free will is exercised towards your free will. You have to be the one to ask. But it has to be so profound, it has to be so pure. And I guess hint number 2, secret number 2, it's not a secret, but it's the only way, I would say, fastest way. You have to be not just curious, but you have to bring your innocence, your purity, and you have to be able to say, the reason why I need to connect this way is because it's for my highest good, and that my highest good, it's always going to send out to this beautiful, beautiful world, all these beautiful people, their highest good and their evolution, and their greatest good too, the same. As you honor their free will, because the Jesus that you want to come down is like saying, enough of free will. We're going to destroy all of y'all for effing everything up. And if you don't convert today, you're going to realize and you're going to regret that later. I'm pretty sure that that's not the God and the Jesus that I would, if I needed to see God and Jesus out there, then you're going to have to take me down there, because I'm not messing with you. No, I wasn't made by that fabric. That's not my fabric. I know who or what and how I was created, and it can never be logical, because that again is sick patriarchy. You had to marry finally the left and the right hemispheres to actually complete the higher spectrum of the toroidal field, or the micro toroidal field of your reality, because your actual aura has been denatured, and from within is the only way for you to heal it, so that you can expand outward. Be the light within. Even when nothing makes sense, you must be the light within. As soon as you seek the light out there, that is what you're programming into the matrix. So then it becomes your reality, because you're leading on the reality outside of you. This is not my first rodeo, and I know it's not yours. I'm only working and walking with people knowingly it's not their first rodeo. And we all come from all aspects of life. And somehow we're connecting right now. You're listening to my video up this far. there must be a reason why we're supposed to connect. So check out my website, and how do you say, DM me for rates and whatnot, and because it's all about the energy exchange, you know, and this is how we live in abundance, and we continue to live that way. This is how I can continue to do what I do without having to work a 9 to 5. For me, a 9 to 5 would be running a 3 clinic room shift, treating 50, 60 patients a week, and making a whole bunch of smiles. And yeah, people getting better, but I'm exhausted, and then these videos can't exist anymore. And hey, if one person hits that smash button, then that's one person I'll continue to speak to. But I also know that there are other people that listen to aspects of it, and that's beautiful for me. Thank you.